Hello, everyone. We are back again with another episode of BioNexus Health Podcasts. Today's topic of discussion will be a complete remission from ulcerative colitis. Right? This would be a complete remission with the scans and labs all negative using herbal medicine and lifestyle choices. And who better to tell us about it than the lady herself? We will be speaking with Bridget today, and she will walk us through her remarkable journey of complete recovery from ulcerative colitis. I mean, she went from needing biologicals, steroids, the works, to trying out herbal medicine. And with a completely customized, personalized prescription for her with the herbs, she's made a full recovery. So let's go ahead and welcome Bridget to today's podcast.
Welcome to the BioNexus Health Podcast with Dr. Jodi A. Darshaw, who holds a PhD in integrative medicine, is board certified in integrative pediatrics, an internationally recognized pioneering clinician, and author. And now here's your host of BioNexus Health Podcast, Dr. Jodi A. Darshaw.
So hi, Bridget. How are you today?
Hi, Dr. Darshaw. I'm well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Good, good. I'm so glad you're here. I'm really excited for you to discuss your remarkable journey with everything that you've been through. Actually, you've been through so much with your gut issues and a diagnosis of ulcerative colitis. And things ended really well for you. And I'm, happy for people to know what options are there other
Right.
than just, pharmaceuticals.
Yes, absolutely.
So
It has
could
been a
you tell us?
long
Sorry.
time coming. Yes.
Yes.
Starting out 13 years ago with being exposed to mold, not even realizing that it was having such a dire effect on my health. Years after, and
Right.
then being diagnosed with colitis, and just being treated for that issue without the awareness of the mold aspect. So, doing so much research for myself while being treated on, all these steroids, antibiotics. I even did Entyvio infusions before meeting you, and trying to help myself with the naturals as well. So it's been quite a journey, and coming across your information on Dr. Shoemaker's website was just
Yes.
godsend. So I am truly, truly blessed by the protocols you have created for me, and just to see how much they have worked to rid my body of so much toxins. So yeah, it has been a long journey, but I am finally at a good place. So yes, many thanks to
Good.
you as well.
Oh, of course. Yes. Yes. I was, happy to play my role in your recovery. Can you go back to when you were first diagnosed with colitis? Uh, what was found? Was it polyps? Was it inflammation? Uh, did you go through endoscopy, scans, colonoscopy, lab testing? How were you diagnosed by your gastroenterologist?
So I was diagnosed actually at the ER. I ate something that did not agree with my stomach at all, and it landed me in the ER. And they diagnosed me with colitis. I had never heard the term before. And, I just went into a tailspin trying to figure out, what is this, illness? And when they tell you it's a chronic illness, like a lifelong illness that has no cure, that just blew me away. So I was recommended to a GI doctor in the area, and we did a colonoscopy, and he saw, just my colon was just severely inflamed.
Mm.
And I remember not being able to to keep down anything. I mean, even if I drank water, I was just running to the bathroom. It was so bad. And so from there, I started on antibiotics, and slowly I was able to introduce foods back into my diet. And, for a while, it didn't bother me. I had no symptoms. I was able to go back to eating whatever I wanted. And after I had my son is now 8 years old. After I had my son, I started flaring up again. And
Okay.
so it was like back to square one for me. And yeah,
With the colitis, now you've tried antibiotics, you've tried anti-inflammatories, uh,
right,
right? You've tried steroids and even the biologicals, right? Which
right,
the infusions to
yes,
shut down your immune system pretty much. And on all of those treatments, you were doing good overall. And then you
right.
had your son, and then you had a flare up. So, what made you decide to go for an herbal approach, an all natural approach?
Well, honestly, it started with my mom. My mom was diagnosed with cancer back in
Oh,
'92, thoracic cancer, and she removed the lump. This is way back in Jamaica, and she did one round of chemotherapy and never went back to a doctor. Just did her herbs and her faith in God. And even when we came here for years, she did not want to go to a doctor, not even for a checkup. So my passion for her started with because of my mom. And so, I knew that herbs are the answer. But of course, it was my issue with consistency. That was my big problem, not being consistent, not being able to stay away from the foods that were triggering my flare ups. And so it took a while, but I did produce even my own herbal tea line at one point, because I knew that herbs are the answer. Herbs are good. Herbs are great for us. And if we complement that with the diet, or diets, eating the right things, we are we really won't have an issue. But for myself and most people, eating the right foods consistently, staying away from all the oils, as we talked about. Oh my gosh, the oils, the sugar, even the salts that are not good for us. It's they're killing us.
that
They're
that is,
killing us.
isn't that right? Yes, absolutely. I'm so happy to hear you mention Jamaica, because Jamaica is, so culturally rich and so many natural remedies. It has such a beautiful climate, and I know that they have a lot of indigenous herbs that
Yeah.
are very medicinal and healing. And so your mom did one round of chemo and that was it. No more.
She said,
I'm
oh, it made her
done.
feel so bad. She said, oh my
Yeah,
gosh, the feeling after that was just
I can
terrible.
understand.
So she's like, no, herbs. I know herbs. I grew up on herbs, and that's where I'm going. And
Certainly,
her
yes.
was it.
Yes.
Yeah.
One thing I really loved about you was the way you sourced your food. You did your research, you understood, like you mentioned, that the labels can be so misleading, and the seed oils and the inflammatory additives and artificial colors and flavors. So you used to source your food from local farms, local
Yes.
organic
Yes.
farms. Yeah, I
Exactly.
remember
I spent so much time doing the research. My sister told me I basically have a PhD
that.
how to, live with colitis by now, because I went on a site called cornucopia.org, and they actually grade farms nationally.
Yes.
They tell you the top rated farms that are doing the right thing. And I happened to find one, upstate New York, that ships to New Jersey. And yeah, I get my kale, my bok choy, and it has snails on it. It has little flies. It has, all these little ladybugs. And I'm like, yes, because if they're on there, then it's good for
That's the
me.
good stuff.
Exactly. No pesticides. And
Yes, no pesticides.
yeah,
Yes.
don't shy away from this, the fruits with blemishes, because you can tell that something was able to take a bite out of it. So once they can get close enough and eat from it, it's good. That's the stuff you
Oh,
want,
I
not
love,
big shot
yes,
fruits and. So
yes,
that's
exactly.
for my
Yes.
foods.
Yes, isn't that interesting? Like my neighbor, she, couple houses down, she was inspired and took a page out of my book, and she fired the guy who would come to spray for weeds and what have you, right? A lot of spraying. And then you know what she found? She found there were more deer on her property and rabbits, eating her
Right,
plants, whereas they never used to before. And
right.
isn't that interesting that even the tiniest of animals know that they shouldn't be eating this chemical laden leaf or flower, and they won't touch it? But humans eat anything,
Right.
anywhere, whatever is convenient. I mean, animals will go without food for a while until they find something that
Right.
is suitable.
Wow, look at that.
Right,
Yeah,
survival instinct,
exactly.
it's just
Wow. Yeah,
oh,
that's
that's a really good point you make.
right. Yeah, it's really hard because, a lot of us, we know better. And, we have the saying, if you know better, you should do better. But it's challenging because they make things so easy for us too in the system that we live in. Why go home and cook? You pass all these restaurants, just stop, grab something on the way home for
Right,
yourself, for the kids. We have such crazy, hectic days as it is at work. And so, the convenience that we have,
right,
with all these
right.
easy, not easy access to all these foods that are not good for us. And we know it's not good, and it's going down in our bodies, and our soul is like crying out like, no, it's not good. But we do what's easy, unfortunately.
Well, soon enough, with the natural and herbal awakening happening all over the world, pretty much, soul food is going to have a whole other meaning.
Yes. I always use that term in my hashtags, like the foods that are healthy. I'm like, it's soul food. When we have
Yes.
experiences that are good for us, it's soul food for me. Yes. So oh my gosh, that's absolutely true.
Yes, God has given us this amazing body to house our soul. And
Right.
it goes to tell you how valuable God thinks that our soul is, to
Right.
give us such a miraculous
Yeah.
body apparatus in order to house the soul. And it is disrespectful on our part
Right.
to just abuse what is inside just for the sake of taste and
Yeah.
convenience.
Yeah.
It is
Mm.
so easy to live a simple life. I guess it's not easy, but it is important to live a simple life and to
Right.
eat food. What did I hear somewhere? If nature doesn't make it, don't eat it.
Right. Right.
If it's not
Absolutely.
found in nature, don't eat it. If even when you cook, you have to try to preserve the
Yes.
natural value in the food you're eating. If
Yes.
you're cooking something to death for, like, if you're frying, if you are what's the other one? If you are charring something,
Mm.
I mean, how is
Right.
that something that nature made? I'm not saying eat raw food, eat raw everything, but you know what I mean. I mean,
Yes.
it needs to be respectfully prepared. It needs
Exactly.
to be nutritious. I agree with you, Bridget. That is the hardest part that most patients find, that, I'm ill. It's hard to cook. I don't want to eat the same thing every day.
Mhm.
And then we sit and we discuss that, along with your herbal protocol that was designed for you. Even if you have to eat the same couple things for a couple months, do it.
Yes, exactly.
Do it
Exactly.
for,
And
right?
I read about that too. Like, you know, if when you said it's not easy, but it actually is easy and it is simple, but we just make it so, we overthink things and to our detriment at times. And even with the foods, I was like that too. I want to have variety. I don't want to eat the same thing all the time. But the body is so simple. Like it doesn't matter. Eat the same thing every single day as long as it's a good thing. It's going to help you. It's going to, it's going to do what it needs to do to keep you alive and keep you healthy. And it's just us that, get in our own way with staying healthy. But yeah,
Yes.
I really appreciated your protocol that you designed for me. Um, just when I first saw it, I was like, "Whoa, there's a lot of things to take here." But I appreciate it because it was a balance of the vitamins and minerals that I needed, along with your herbal tinctures. And I understood based on my own research and my own experience living with this illness that it needs a lot to combat it. And so I really appreciated that because, wow, it's really worked. It really, truly worked.
I am so glad. Yes, it isn't an easy path back to health, but once you go through that journey with herbals, whatever gains you see, the herbals always do their job, the herbal blends. And the key here is, if you recall, we ran so many labs for you, including, a full mapping of your gut, and we
Right.
found concerns, right? Digestive concerns, physiological concerns, biochemical imbalances. Now, all of those infections, so all of those had to be the infections, the toxins, the damage done had to
Mm,
be eliminated. The damage had to be repaired, and
mm,
then along with that, you had this wonderful diet of yours that you were able to adhere to, and
right.
look what happened. Like, uh,
Uh,
let's talk about your most recent
yeah.
scans. What
Uh,
showed up?
right. I was really afraid, even though I know that I've been doing the work with your protocol. I felt this sore spot on the left side of my colon, and I was really concerned that I had a polyp, like a really big polyp, because in the past the inflammation produced polyps along my colon, polyps along my
Mm,
uterus. And so, I was just really scared going into for the colonoscopy in August. And afterwards, my doctor came out and showed me, in print. He's like, wow, your colon looks pretty good. He's like, it's not excellent, but and I'm like, there's no polyps. And he's like, no, there are no polyps. There's like a little sore spot there in the sigmoid area,
right,
and a little bit in ileum, but yeah, no polyps. Looks pretty good. There's this inflammation in those two little areas, but it's not all over the way it used to be.
right.
That was just like, wow. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, okay, I'm not completely out of the woods, but it's much better than I expected. I was really,
Yes,
really blown away. So,
yes.
uh,
And here's the thing. While doing the herbals and making this fantastic recovery, uh, you were not doing any pharmaceuticals at all.
right, no, no,
So
not at all.
that is fantastic. That's remarkable,
Yeah.
and that goes to show you that when science meets nature, right? Mother Nature does have answers for us.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I remember when I weaned myself off of Entyvio, it's going 3 years now. I did it for about 8 months, and I was like, wow, I can't keep just going back to this place every 6 weeks to have this IV in my arm, getting this. I mean, I was able to eat whatever I wanted, but I knew that I just didn't want to do this on a long-term basis. And wasn't my doctor was upset because I didn't speak to him about stopping. I just stopped. I just decided, okay, I'm not going back. This is it. And so my next follow-up appointment, I told him I stopped, and he was like, oh, you did what? I'm like, oh, I stopped. I didn't go back for any more appointments as of that date. And he was like, no, you can't. You can't just do that, you know. And if we have to do a test to see if you have any antibodies in case you have to restart it another time and
Right.
all of these things. But I knew within myself that, yeah, that's not for me. That is not for me. It's going to be hard to continue, you know, doing the herbals and staying away from my triggers. But I was adamant that I have to stay the course with the herbals, the naturals.
Yes. Yes. And you the repair happened really, really well, I think, because you complemented the herbal protocol with your home cooked meals, right?
Yes,
Keeping stress levels down, understanding your condition. And I think the one thing that I really loved was that you looked at your labs, a little scary, the labs we ran for you,
right.
but you researched and you understood what was
Yeah,
going on in your body. And that actually gave you courage and made you stronger. You were not
yes.
like scared, like, okay, I'm done. No, but
Right, right, exactly.
you
Motivated
built
me.
on it. Yeah.
Exactly, definitely. It's it was really daunting looking at those, especially when I saw the glyphosate. That one was like, whoa, I have glyphosate? How? Because I'm like, wow, I'm only buying organic produce. I don't eat this, I don't eat that. I'm not buying. I started making my own products, my own detergent, my own deodorant.
Excellent. Yes.
I'm
Yes.
like, I'm doing all these good things, and how do I get glyphosate? But I realized that even though some items are organic, that they're still being sprayed. You know, they're still not doing best practices by not spraying them. And so I started just doing root vegetables from that point, from the time we did the testing. So only root veg, and and from the farm, upstate New York.
Yes.
Order from there. I order for a while to get some, an
Yeah.
amount that can last for a while. So I'm confident that my system is working as it needs to.
That's right. You're so young. It's not possible to go. It is hard to go through the rest of your life, doing infusions and suppressing your immune system
Right.
and being at high risk for infections. I mean, what happens when you're 65?
My gosh,
You're like at a high risk for infections. Well, seniors
exactly.
already are, and it's just, Bridget, I don't know if I told you, but I remember um, a few years ago, a
Mm,
mom from South Jersey,
mm,
near Atlantic City, she brought her daughter to me, and poor little Tegan, she had a colostomy bag. She was
wow.
7 years old. How do
Oh,
you do that? It was so heartbreaking that I mean, there was nothing there. They tried everything, Humira, steroids, and
mm,
she was living in such a moldy house,
oh my
right?
God.
And there was a lot of glyphosate as well because her dad was a landscaper.
Ay, ay,
And,
ay.
and this little girl, she's going to go through the rest of her life with the colostomy bag.
Yikes.
Beautiful little girl. It was just so hastily done. Oh, it's not working. Okay, let's just take out
Right,
the
right.
colon. How do you take out the colon of a little girl?
Oh
So
my God.
that was
Oh,
the most heartbreaking case of
right,
UC, ulcerative colitis that I have seen. It was
right.
really, really
Yeah,
sad. And it actually made me go back and research more to make sure
yeah,
that, the herbal blends work at a reasonably fast pace so we can
right.
prepare and help people, and yeah. So Tegan's health improved overall. She lost her autism diagnosis, ADHD,
Oh,
but the colostomy bag, so
exactly.
unfair.
Oh my gosh, I know, because I researched that myself at one point when I
I'm
was,
sure.
after I had my son, and I was just going flare after flare after flare. I'm like, what are my options? What can I do? And I saw that. I'm like, oh, oof, I have to try my best not to, have to do that. So yeah, it's just hard when you get to that point where like you feel like you have no other choice but to, oh yeah, that's really heartbreaking. Wow. Well,
It
God bless
was.
you. God bless you so much for all that you're doing. Oh my gosh, you are such a godsend. No, honestly, it's for future customers future clients who are considering, they might think, oh my gosh, it's going to cost so much, but your health is priceless. And you, Dr. Deshore, you are phenomenal in what you do.
Oh,
You
I
just
appreciate that. Thank you so much. I
quality into
appreciate
your
that.
product. Yes, absolutely. And I am really, really blessed to be under your care and to have the results that I've been able to have in what I think is a short time because,
Yes.
started in December and I figure I'll be on the protocol for like a year and a half at least before I'm able to see any results. And so that's
Yes, and you saw the results in approximately 6 months or so.
great. Yes.
Just
Yes.
fantastic, just fantastic. It's just, I mean, it's been a blessing to help you recover, and I'm glad that you're in a really good place now. It's so important, especially for women. Going into perimenopause eventually, and then menopause with the hormonal changes. I cannot even imagine what women in that age group with UC must be going through. There's so many misconceptions, misunderstanding. Nobody understands what women go through in
Exactly.
menopause and menopause. I mean, that itself is 10 years long, perimenopause approximately.
Wow.
And then all of the conditions associated, all of the changes associated with that. Um, my son had Crohn's and a little bit of colitis, and I'm like, how can you have both? Like, I understand IBD. Oh, he's got look at the antibodies, the ANCA, the ASCA, blah blah blah. They're both showing up a little bit. It was so confusing. Um,
Right.
I had refused steroids and biologicals. We tried the anti-inflammatories, no change. Um,
Right.
Basic
Mhm.
digestive enzymes were helpful, but he was so skinny, so
Right.
skeletal, and then we were told he has 2 months to live, and that was
Oh,
it. Yes.
oh my gosh.
That
Oh,
that that was where my research, went into turbo gear.
right.
Right.
Wow.
And there were so many good practitioners out there and there's a lot of information if you're willing to, scan through a lot of
Right.
journal articles and see what's available. And then, of course, my herbal mentors, God
Yes.
bless, Stephen Buhner and
Mm,
Julie, his partner, Julie McIntyre, just amazing human beings,
right.
just saved my son's life.
Wow.
We learned about herbals together, especially with my Ayurvedic background. It just so we use the best of biodynamically grown Western herbals along with the best of Ayurvedic herbals, and it's just it creates a very potent combination.
Exactly. Oh, that's beautiful.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how because at one point they also told me that I have Crohn's based on the patterns of the inflammation along my
right.
colon. And I was like, yeah, I'm not accepting that. I'm like, bad enough I don't even want to accept or own the fact that I have colitis. And then
Yes, isn't that weird?
Crohn's.
Um,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
They
Uh,
do that.
that's what led me, like, when God gives you this big jolt, some piece of information comes into play, and that's what led me to, what else should I look for? And
Right.
that's where I understood about phytates and
Mm,
lectins and
mm,
mold and
yeah,
mycotoxins, and so it is interesting. You were exposed to mycotoxins,
right.
and right, many people exposed in that manner, like yourself and like Brian, my son, get the doctors don't know. Is it Crohn's? Is it colitis? Is it both? What is it? Well, it is something else altogether that is
Right?
mimicking Crohn's
Exactly.
colitis.
Exactly. Exactly. Wow. It's, it's definitely a lot, and you have to know yourself. You have to spend time analyzing yourself, because if I had followed, the path of the doctors just telling me what I should do, what I need to do, and not really listen to my body and listen to, my mom, my ancestors who, know what's good, from the earth, I don't know what would be happening to me right now. So yeah, it's definitely important to spend time listening to your own body.
Absolutely. I am, very thankful to you for being here and speaking about your journey and inspiring so many in the process.
Absolutely. It's just my pleasure. I thank you so much, Dr. DeShore. You're doing an amazing job. Amazing job.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And, I think your contribution and your belief, faith, and diligence in the process has been invaluable. And you actually, embody the concept of mind, body, spirit. You realize that all three have to be healed in order for you to
Right.
get better.
Yes, absolutely. I remember 2.5 years ago, I was home. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was just going through the motions of, weaning off the
Oh,
Entyvio, trying
yeah.
to, and I joined, I signed up for an online singing class because I love to sing in my own list, in my own head.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's
It
a
was
lot of
fun.
joy.
Right. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. And I met a young lady who lives in Hawaii. And, one day I put a post up on Instagram about my colitis issue, and she recommended a book to me. It's called The Art of Spiritual Healing by Kenneth Sherwood. And that book is so powerful. And to this day, I still go over the exercises. And it just really, it's amazing. The mind, as you talk about the mind,
That's
can
right.
just
Right.
knowing that your mind is so powerful. But
Mhm.
if we're, with all the blockages that we have in our bodies, our
The
chakras,
trauma,
the
right?
trauma that's stuck, we have to pay attention to that part as well, more so than anything else. Because with everything
Yes,
we're doing to heal, the herbs or the foods, water, diet, exercise, sleep, the traumas that we need to unblock, get in our mind to a place where, we just give ourselves the freedom to just be, to not be stressed and boggled down. It's so
yeah,
important. It's more important.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, I do believe in that very firmly. Faith, forgiveness, and gratitude, they go
Yeah.
such a long way to
Yes.
help you heal.
Exactly. Oh, absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. DeShore.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for being here today.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, wow. That was such a beautiful spiritual and spirited discussion, wasn't it? Bridget is so passionate about what she does and her recovery, and she is fully determined not to have another relapse or flare up. So, wishing her the very, very best. I will see you guys at the next episode of the BioNexus podcast. Until then, take good care. Namaste.
Thank you for joining Master Herbalist Dr. Jodi A. Dashaw, Director of the BioNexus Health Clinic and BioNexus Herbals, on the BioNexus Health podcast, where we explore and share information and stories about recovering and healing from chronic and environmental illnesses such as mold biotoxin illness, Lyme disease, autism spectrum disorder, fatigue, Crohn's and colitis, mast cell activation syndrome, PANS, and more. Please help us grow our message by subscribing to our podcast channel and sharing the podcast on your social networks. For more information, visit bionexushealth.com.
Information within this video, audio, or text collectively known as the podcast, has not been reviewed by the FDA. Nothing within the podcast is intended as or should be construed as medical advice. Information is for general informational and educational purposes only. Consumers of the podcast should consult with their healthcare practitioners for medical recommendations. Seek the advice of a qualified healthcare provider. Do not disregard the advice of a healthcare provider based on any information from the podcast. The information within the podcast may contain information concerning dietary supplements or over-the-counter products that are not drugged. Our dietary supplement products are not intended for use as a means to cure, treat, prevent, diagnose, or mitigate any disease or other medical or abnormal condition.